We could pick apart a ton of differences between an amateur drummer and a pro drummer, but there's one simple underlying factor that pretty much always draws the line between the experienced pro and the shaky amateur. Hey everybody, welcome to The Non-Glamorous Drummer. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you've watched a lot of my videos, then you know me pretty well, and you know that one of my core fundamental drumming, musical, whatever beliefs about practicing and learning is that I believe that you have to master the fundamentals, the absolute basics of technique and getting good sounds out of your instrument in order to really move on to the advanced stuff and for the advanced stuff to really sound great. In other words, you've got to master the fundamentals in order to truly master the advanced material. And that's something I've learned in my own experience over the years where I went the chops route and I learned a lot of cool licks and a lot of cool stuff, but I had to come full circle and relearn fundamentals to really have a full, well-rounded grasp on the instrument. Really today, the whole concept, the whole core discussion of the video centers around this statement. The professional drummer has mastered the fundamentals while the amateur drummer has only learned licks. Now, I'm not saying there's a problem with licks, and there's certainly not a problem with chops. But the professional has first learned the fundamentals and has mastered the fundamentals so that he can better learn the licks and the chops. Basically, the professional has a well-built house, a solid foundation, really sturdy walls, solid roof that doesn't leak, while the amateur has some really hip, trendy furniture that he's setting up in his living room, but he didn't build a very good foundation and he only has one wall up, so the roof's about to cave in. Meanwhile, the professional, because he's got such a solid foundation, he can now fill his house with the hip and trendy furniture. Okay, so at this point you're like, okay, Steven, we get the point. Let's get on with the video. How is this gonna help me? How can we go from amateur to pro status? Well, that's what I wanna spend the rest of the video talking about, because there's really a litmus test, a drumming diagnostics test, that we can go through to really see, okay, how does our basic technique, how does our basic playing hold up? Really, the way I've decided to structure this, and this isn't just the one method of doing this, but if we're talking about rock, then let's play a basic rock beat and see how everything sounds, see how it feels. If we're talking jazz, let's play a basic jazz swing pattern, see how that feels, how it sounds. Basic Latin pattern, just like a bossa nova. And so kind of take it down to the bare bones skeleton in each of those three main styles and really listen to yourself, see how your groove is feeling, how things are sounding. I'll play each of those real quick just to kind of give you a demonstration. So as you're playing each of those basic patterns from the three main styles, or you could come up with another style, I don't know what else there might be. The main idea is it needs to be something basic, something fundamental to that style where you need to master that in order to really excel in that style. Play that, listen to yourself, record yourself, and ask yourself, okay, are things rushing, are things dragging, do things feel right? Are my velocities consistent? In the rock groove, does the snare backbeat feel good every time? In the jazz thing, is the ride rushing or dragging? Are my quarter notes consistent? You know, talking about, make sure the quarter notes are feeling good before you worry too much about the, and with the bossa nova, just make sure you're going super slow and that things are locking together. And honestly, that's one that should come after the rock and then maybe the jazz, because the Latin can be a little more complex. And so certainly start with the rock. But if you happen to be working on Latin stuff, make sure that your slow bossa nova is solid. Now, I've included with this video a PDF download you can find in the description below. Go check that out, because there we outline everything we just went through, actually in even more detail, because I include pointers for each style, specific things to listen for and to pay attention to as you're playing and as you're practicing these. And so you can basically go down the chart and look at, okay, here's what to listen for if I'm playing a rock beat, here's what to listen for playing jazz, here's what to listen for playing Latin. And so it's a really good summation of all of this, so that if all this seemed a little bit confusing maybe, go check that out. That'll help solidify it, and that can be a really useful practice tool for you as you're working on this. Really, as we wrap up, what all this means is that playing something simple, playing something fundamental, exposes the flaws in your playing. Like if I sit here and I play quarter notes, if something's up with my technique, I'm gonna find out right here. I'm gonna realize, oh, things aren't rebounding right, or something's not feeling right, something's not looking right. When you're playing something so simple and fundamental as quarter notes, it exposes any slight issue with your grip. As far as, okay, what do I do with all this? How do I practice all this? Well, download the chart, use that in your practicing, but also start every practice session with quarter notes. Practice them super slow, practice them a little bit faster. Then you can slowly, move that around the kit, all the while making sure you've got that smooth rebound. Start off your practice session with just that basic beat too. Something that's really simple that can always be the reset kind of mode. So if you haven't played in a couple of weeks, you can sit down at your kit and play that and immediately know what's wrong, what's sounding good, what's not sounding good, so you can make those adjustments, and from there, that can be your springboard to learning licks, to learning more complex parts, to learning cool songs, learning cool fills and all that. Just make sure you master the fundamentals first. So before you go, check out the PDF in the description below. It's totally free. If you are on my email list already, then you have already received it. So I encourage you, check that out, use it as a practice tool, go practice these things, record yourself, and you will reap the benefits, and you will become a better drummer for spending the time on that. Hey, I hope this video helped you out and provided you with something valuable to incorporate into your practicing, which I really believe it will, especially if you download that PDF and follow those steps in the drumming diagnostics chart, basically. I think it'll really help you out a lot. So if it did, I hope you'll subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I hope you'll share the video. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next video.